Have you ever wondered why some people seem to grow lush vegetable gardens with ease, while others struggle to keep even the simplest plants alive? The truth is, successful gardening isn't about luck. It's about avoiding a handful of common mistakes that almost every beginner makes. If you're just starting your gardening journey, don't worry. Every experienced gardener has made these mistakes at least once. The good news is that once you know what they are, they're surprisingly easy to avoid. Today, we're counting down the 10 biggest mistakes beginner gardeners make and, more importantly, exactly how you can avoid them. These simple changes can save you time, money, and frustration while helping you grow healthier plants and bigger harvests. Let's get started. Number 10. Planting in the wrong location. One of the most common beginner mistakes happens before the first seed is even planted. People choose a convenient spot instead of the right one. Many vegetables need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, and beans all thrive in full sun. When they're planted in shady areas, they often become tall and weak, produce fewer flowers, and develop much smaller harvests. On the other hand, leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, and some herbs can tolerate partial shade, especially during hot summer afternoons. Before planting anything, spend a full day observing your garden. Notice where the sunlight falls in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Trees, fences, sheds, and even your house can create unexpected shadows. Choosing the right location from the beginning is one of the easiest ways to improve your gardening success. Number 9. Ignoring the soil. Many beginners spend money on expensive plants but forget about the one thing every plant depends on: the soil. Healthy soil isn't just dirt. It's a living ecosystem filled with beneficial microorganisms, earthworms, nutrients, air pockets, and organic matter. Poor soil can hold too much water, drain too quickly, or lack essential nutrients. Even the healthiest seedlings will struggle if their roots can't develop properly. Before planting, loosen compacted soil and mix in plenty of compost or well-rotted organic matter. Compost improves both clay soils and sandy soils by increasing nutrient availability and improving moisture retention. If possible, perform a simple soil test. It can reveal whether your soil is lacking important nutrients or has a pH that's too acidic or too alkaline for certain crops. Remember this simple rule: healthy soil grows healthy plants. Number 8. Watering too much or too little. Watering seems simple, but it's actually one of the hardest gardening skills to master. Many beginners water every single day because they worry their plants might dry out. Unfortunately, overwatering can be even more harmful than underwatering. When soil stays constantly wet, roots receive less oxygen. This creates ideal conditions for root rot, fungal diseases, and weak plant growth. Instead of watering on a schedule, check the soil first. Push your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If it feels dry at that depth, it's time to water. If it's still moist, wait another day. Deep watering is almost always better than frequent shallow watering. Deep watering encourages roots to grow downward, making plants stronger and more drought-resistant. Water early in the morning whenever possible. Morning watering reduces evaporation while allowing leaves to dry before evening, which helps prevent many fungal diseases. Number 7. Planting too close together. It's easy to underestimate how large young seedlings will become. Tiny tomato plants eventually grow into large bushes. Zucchini spreads over several feet. Cucumbers quickly fill trellises with thick vines. When plants are crowded together, they compete for sunlight, nutrients, water, and airflow. Poor air circulation also creates humid conditions that encourage diseases like powdery mildew, blight, and leaf spot. Always read the spacing recommendations on seed packets or plant labels. They may seem excessive at first, but they're based on years of experience. Proper spacing allows plants to receive more sunlight, improves air movement, makes harvesting easier, and reduces disease problems. Sometimes planting fewer plants actually produces a larger harvest. Number 6. Starting too early. Every spring, enthusiastic gardeners rush outside at the first sign of warm weather. Unfortunately, nature doesn't always cooperate. Planting warm season vegetables too early exposes them to cold soil and late frosts. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, pumpkins, and squash all prefer warm soil. Cold temperatures slow their growth dramatically and may permanently damage young plants. Instead of guessing, learn your area's average last frost date. Wait until nighttime. Temperatures remain consistently warm before transplanting tender crops outdoors. If an unexpected cold night is forecast, protect young plants with row covers, frost cloths, or even overturned buckets for one night. A plant that goes into warm soil a week later often outgrows one planted too early. Gardening rewards patience far more often than speed. There's another important lesson many beginners discover after their first growing season. And it has nothing to do with planting or watering. It involves feeding plants correctly, controlling weeds without creating extra work, and learning why more fertilizer isn't always better. Number 5. Using too much fertilizer. Many beginner gardeners believe that if a little fertilizer helps plants grow, then more fertilizer must produce even better results. Unfortunately, gardening doesn't work that way. Over-fertilizing can damage roots, burn leaves, weaken plants, and even reduce the number of flowers and fruits. One of the most common examples is tomatoes. When they receive too much nitrogen, they produce huge, dark green leaves that look impressive. But instead of making tomatoes, the plant focuses almost entirely on growing foliage. The result is a beautiful plant with very little fruit. Different plants have different nutritional needs. Leafy vegetables such as lettuce and spinach appreciate more nitrogen because you're harvesting the leaves. Fruiting crops like tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and squash require a balanced supply of nutrients, especially phosphorus and potassium once flowering begins. Always follow the recommended application rates on fertilizer labels. More is rarely better. Better yet, improve your soil with compost every season. Compost releases nutrients, gradually, supports beneficial soil organisms, and helps plants grow steadily without sudden nutrient overloads. Think of fertilizer as a supplement, not the main meal. Number 4. Letting weeds take over. At first, a few weeds may not seem like a big problem. Many beginners tell themselves they'll pull them next weekend. But weeds grow incredibly fast. They compete with your vegetables for sunlight, water, nutrients, and space. Some even attract pests or spread diseases that can affect nearby crops. Even worse, many weeds produce thousands of seeds. Waiting just one extra week can create problems for years to come. The easiest solution is to remove weeds while they're still small. Spending just 5 or 10 minutes every couple of days is much easier than fighting an overgrown garden later. Adding mulch around your plants is another excellent strategy. Organic mulch such as straw, shredded leaves, untreated grass clippings, or wood chips blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds. It also helps the soil retain moisture, keeps temperatures more stable, and slowly improves soil quality as it breaks down. A layer of mulch can save hours of work throughout the growing season. Number 3. Ignoring pests until it's too late. Every garden attracts insects. The goal isn't to eliminate every bug. In fact, many insects are incredibly helpful. Ladybugs eat aphids. Bees pollinate flowers. Lacewings feed on harmful pests. Earthworms improve soil health. The real mistake is waiting until a small pest problem becomes a major infestation. Make it a habit to inspect your plants every few days. Look underneath leaves where insects often hide. Watch for holes, yellow spots, curled leaves, sticky residue, or unusual discoloration. Catching problems early usually means they can be solved with simple methods. Sometimes removing a few damaged leaves is enough. A strong spray of water can knock aphids off plants. Hand-picking larger insects like caterpillars can prevent serious damage before it spreads. Healthy plants are naturally more resistant to pests, which is another reason why proper watering, spacing, and soil preparation matter so much. The earlier you notice a problem, the easier it usually is to solve. Number 2. Growing too much in the first year. This mistake surprises almost everyone. After looking through seed catalogs or visiting a garden center, it's easy to become excited. You imagine rows of tomatoes, peppers, beans, cucumbers, pumpkins, herbs, carrots, onions, strawberries, and dozens of flowers. Before long, you've planted far more than you can realistically care for. Large gardens require more watering, weeding, pruning, harvesting, and pest control than most beginners expect. Instead of enjoying gardening, many people become overwhelmed. A much smarter approach is to start small. Grow a handful of vegetables that your family actually enjoys eating. Learn how those crops grow. Pay attention to what works well in your climate. Gain confidence one season at a time. A small, healthy garden almost always produces more satisfaction than a large garden that's difficult to manage. Remember, gardening is a skill that improves every year. There's no prize for planting the biggest garden during your first season. Focus on learning, not on growing everything at once. Number 1. Expecting perfection instead of learning. This is the biggest mistake of all, and it's the one that causes more people to give up gardening than any pest, disease, or bad weather ever could. Many beginners believe experienced gardeners have some kind of natural talent. They imagine that successful gardens happen because those people never make mistakes. But nothing could be further from the truth. Every skilled gardener has planted seeds that never sprouted. Every gardener has lost plants to unexpected frost, scorching summer heat, heavy rain, hungry insects, or plant diseases. Every gardener has harvested vegetables that were smaller than expected or watched perfectly healthy plants suddenly struggle for reasons that weren't immediately obvious. The difference is simple. Experienced gardeners don't see these moments as failures. They see them as lessons. Every season teaches something new. Perhaps you discover that tomatoes perform better in one corner of your garden than another because they receive an extra hour of sunlight. Maybe you realize that watering deeply every few days produces healthier plants than watering lightly every morning. Perhaps you learn that mulching keeps weeds under control while reducing the amount of watering your garden needs during hot weather. These discoveries don't come from reading books alone. They come from spending time in your own garden and paying attention to what nature is trying to teach you. One of the best habits you can develop is keeping a simple gardening journal. It doesn't need to be complicated. Write down the date you planted each crop. Record the varieties you chose. Make notes about the weather, rainfall, fertilizer applications, pest problems, and harvest dates. Even a few short notes every week can become an incredibly valuable resource. After one growing season, you'll begin seeing patterns. After 2 or 3 seasons, you'll know your own garden better than anyone else possibly could. You'll know which vegetables thrive in your soil. You'll know which flowers attract the most pollinators. You'll know which areas stay wetter after rain and which dry out the fastest during summer. That knowledge becomes more valuable every single year. Gardening is one of the few hobbies where experience truly compounds over time. Every season builds upon the last. Every mistake makes you a little wiser. Every success gives you confidence to try something new. So don't compare your very first garden to the beautiful pictures you see online. Many of those gardens represent years or even decades of learning, experimenting, and improving. Instead, compare this year's garden to the one you'll grow next year. Your only goal should be continuous improvement. Now, before we finish, let's quickly review the 10 biggest mistakes every beginner should avoid. Number 10. Planting in the wrong location without enough sunlight. Number 9. Ignoring the health of your soil. Number 8. Watering too much or too little. Number 7. Planting crops too close together. Number 6. Starting warm season vegetables before the weather is truly ready. Number 5. Using too much fertilizer. Number 4. Allowing weeds to become established. Number 3. Waiting too long before dealing with pests. Number 2. Trying to grow too much during your very first season. And number 1. Expecting perfection instead of embracing the learning process. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Healthy gardens aren't created overnight. They are built one season at a time. One seed. One lesson. One improvement after another. Some years your tomatoes will be incredible. Other years your beans may outperform everything else. One season may be unusually dry, while the next brings weeks of rain. Nature is always changing, and that's part of what makes gardening so rewarding. No 2 years are ever exactly the same. The goal isn't to control every detail. The goal is to work with nature instead of against it. Observe your plants often. Check the soil before watering. Feed your garden wisely. Protect beneficial insects. Harvest regularly. And never stop asking questions. The more time you spend observing your garden, the more confident you'll become. Soon you'll notice small signs that beginners often miss: a leaf changing color, the first flower opening, beneficial insects arriving, or vegetables reaching the perfect time for harvest. Those small observations often make the biggest difference. And finally, remember to enjoy the process. Take time to appreciate the first seedling pushing through the soil. The first bee visiting your flowers. The first handful of fresh herbs filling your kitchen with their incredible fragrance. The first ripe tomato, cucumber, pepper, or strawberry picked straight from your own garden. Those simple moments are why millions of people fall in love with gardening every single year. Even if your first season isn't perfect, you've already accomplished something important. You've started. Every experienced gardener was once a complete beginner. The only reason they became successful is because they kept planting, kept learning, and never stopped growing alongside their gardens. There's one more piece of advice that experienced gardeners often wish someone had told them when they were just starting out. Don't be afraid to experiment. Many beginners believe there's only one correct way to grow vegetables, flowers, or herbs. But every garden is different. Soil types vary. Weather patterns change from year to year. Even 2 gardens located on the same street can produce completely different results. That's why curiosity is one of the most valuable tools any gardener can have. Try growing 2 different varieties of the same vegetable and compare their performance. Plant one tomato in a raised bed and another in the ground. Test different types of mulch to see which helps your soil retain moisture the best. Grow a few flowers among your vegetables and notice how they attract bees, butterflies, and other helpful pollinators. These small experiments teach lessons that no book or video can fully explain. You'll soon discover what works best in your own garden, and that's knowledge you'll carry with you for years. Another habit worth developing is spending a few quiet minutes in your garden every day. You don't always need to weed or water. Sometimes simply walking through your garden is enough. Look closely at the leaves. Notice new flowers beginning to bloom. Watch bees collecting nectar or ladybugs searching for aphids. Feel the soil with your hand. Gardening becomes much easier when you notice small changes before they become big problems. A single yellow leaf might tell you a plant needs nutrients. Wilting during the hottest part of the afternoon may simply be a natural response to heat, while wilting early in the morning could indicate the plant needs water. These little observations help you respond quickly and keep your plants healthy throughout the season. And remember, your garden doesn't have to look perfect to be successful. A few insect holes in leaves are completely normal. Not every carrot will grow perfectly straight. Some tomatoes may crack after heavy rain. A cucumber might grow into a funny shape. These aren't signs of failure, they're signs that your garden is real. In fact, vegetables grown at home often taste far better than those found in stores because they're harvested at their peak ripeness instead of being picked early for shipping. That's one of the greatest rewards of gardening. Fresh food, healthier plants, time spent outdoors, and the satisfaction of growing something with your own hands. Every seed you plant is an investment in future harvests, and every season makes you a more knowledgeable gardener than the one before. So stay curious, be patient with yourself, and enjoy every step of the journey. The harvest is important, but the experience of growing it is what you'll remember the most. Thank you so much for watching. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like this video. And subscribe for more practical gardening advice, seasonal growing guides, and proven techniques that will help you grow healthier plants and enjoy bigger, more productive harvests year after year. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which beginner gardening mistake have you made, and what valuable lesson did it teach you? Share your experience in the comments below. Your advice might help another new gardener avoid the same mistake. Until next time, happy gardening, and may every season bring healthier plants, richer soil, and harvests that make all your hard work worthwhile.